This honestly feels like the most dramatic Vancouver Canucks season that I've seen in a little while. It always feels to me that there's some other issue or something else going on with the team that you're like, okay, let's just get this together. Now, obviously, they traded JT Miller. I felt that was probably the right move. It seemed like JT Miller was done with the team. Now, after the NHL trade deadline, we do see a lot of trickle-down effects and rumors. I posted a video not that long ago that the Vancouver Canucks certainly seemed like they were listening on Brock Besser, which is fine. And they actually got offered a first-round selection, apparently from the Carolina Hurricanes. I think the Carolina Hurricanes have more than one selection, first-round selection, though, so I don't know which one was actually offered to the Canucks. But, again, if you don't think you can re-sign Brock Besser, I would have probably done it. The rumor is he wants $9 million. I don't know if I would give him that. Maybe I would, though, because the cap is going up so much, and Vancouver Canucks can probably spend to that larger cap. It's funny. We don't talk enough about how many teams aren't going to be able to spend eventually $113 million. So teams that can spend to the cap are going to have a big advantage in that regard. There's only going to be like some team, some of the bigger market teams that are going to be able to actually do it. I don't know if the Vancouver Canucks will, but alas. Anyways. Now we have more news coming out about the Vancouver Canucks, where Rick Tocchet might be holding out re-signing with the Canucks because of Quinn Hughes. We have an article here that says about the status of head coach Rick Tocchet, and he noted that the Canucks want to extend him, which makes sense. He's a pretty good coach, but Tocchet doesn't seem ready to re-sign. There is a lot of drama inside that organization, and with uncertainty surrounding Besser and possible Elias Pettersson trade, and what Quinn Hughes plans to do long-term, Tocchet might be weighing his options. First off, this is probably true. I mean, can you imagine it being a head coach of a team you were thinking that you were probably going to be a competitive team next season, and then you're struggling to get in the playoffs, and then furthermore, they got rid of JT Miller. They might be trading Elias Pettersson, because again, even Elliot Friedman was talking about the fact that they might be trading Elias Pettersson this offseason. That's essentially what he's saying is going to be like the story of the offseason, essentially. You don't know what's going to happen with Quinn Hughes. He's not up quite yet, but definitely long-term. And if you get rid of Brock Besser, I mean, again, I know a lot of people have issues with him. Like, every time I post a video, speaking well about Brock Besser, everybody talks about the fact that, he's not a great skater. I'm like, at the end of the day, the guy can score 25 to 40 goals a year. How are you going to replace that, right? If you have a plan to replace that, I have absolutely no problem with it. Perhaps the Vancouver Canucks could get a free agent. I'm not really sure, and I totally understand this from Rick Tocchet's point of view. The insider points out that Tocchet's franchise goalie has 4 injuries in 11 months. His franchise defenseman could leave in 2 years. His franchise center is on pace for 50 points. He's got a decision to make. Okay, so the first thing that I always want to remind people with this stuff, when insiders say this, there is a decent chance, not completely, they could just be speculating, but there is a decent chance that these guys know what is going on here. Like, essentially that they have an idea of what's going on, they just might not say it. So if he's alluding to this, I absolutely believe that to be true. And think about it this way, all of your top players are leaving, right? You will probably want to go to a competitive organization. Tocchet was probably pretty excited from last season how, the Vancouver Canucks, they had a pretty good season last season, and he probably got excited. Can you imagine your team taking this much of a massive step back? Now, I will say one thing about the Vancouver Canucks, that even though they've taken a step back, they still are tied for a playoff spot. Like, they have taken a massive step back, but they're still right there. They're still right there. They're still, thank God they beat the Calgary Flames. So they're actually the same amount of games and the same amount of points as the Calgary Flames. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. I still think the Vancouver Canucks are ultimately going to make the playoffs, and I think the Calgary Flames are just going to miss. Although, again, tons and tons and tons of respect to the Calgary Flames. They have absolutely beaten it out, man. They just will not give up. That Dustin Wolf goalie that they got has been damn good for them. Honestly, it's crazy to me. Hockey is such a random sport, and you just honestly just never know what you're going to get. So this is the question of the video. The rumor from Elliot Friedman when it comes to Besser is that he wanted a 5-year contract at about 9 million per. That was the rumor. The rumor before was that it was north of 8 million, and I would said, well, I'll give him 8.25, but apparently that wouldn't get it done, and that's the standoff between the Vancouver Canucks and Brock Besser. Would you end up giving him that at 9 million? Even me, I like Brock Besser. Even me, I'm a little bit on the fence with that. I'm not gonna lie. He's 28 years old, and I like Brock Besser, but his skating does worry me with as he ages. And what exactly would he be in 31, 32, 33? That does worry me a little bit. Now, interestingly enough, when we touch on Besser here, it says that the Canucks said the offers for Besser weren't even worth considering, and the insider reports, and the Hurricanes made a solid pitch in the hours before Friday's trade deadline. I mean, it seemed like the Carolina Hurricanes got pretty desperate. They got Logan Stankoven, who's a pretty damn good player, but they also had to give away Mikko Rantanen because Mikko Rantanen just had absolutely no interest in signing in Carolina, man. Well, anyways, to get off a little bit off base here, Mikko Rantanen looked like he did not even want to be in Carolina, and honestly, not a lot of players do. I don't really blame them that much, but it's interesting that he ended up staying in Dallas. But on to the Vancouver Canucks again. What exactly would you guys do? I still would not trade Elias Pettersson this offseason. If you're going to trade Elias Pettersson, at least try to trade him in a high. I do understand that he has he doesn't have a no movement clause this year, I believe. Technically, you can trade him, but again, you're going to be trading him at a low, which might not make sense, right? So that's why I'm a little bit worried about trading Pettersson or giving away all these players. I do believe these players make the Canucks better, so it's almost like you're heading into a rebuild if you do that. Do you understand what I mean? And I'm not so sure I like the idea of that. I want the Canucks to remain competitive if they can. Anyways, I am going to leave this video here. If you could make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.